Hello everyone and welcome to the second episode of G27TV. My name is Eric Peiko and I'm the music director and conductor of Group of 27. Today on the program we're going to have interviews with Etsuko Komura and Gabe Radford, both of whom will be performing in the upcoming G2-7 Get to Know Your G27 recital series on November 13th. It's a Wednesday night at 7:30 at the Heliconian Hall. And for this particular evening, we're going to have Tom Allen as the host, the very well-known CBC personality and wonderful knowledge person of music, who is going to interview the players, talk about the music, and of course there'll be food from Wanda's Pie in the Sky and my favorite bakery in Kensington Market, and the Cheese Magic as well, I should say. And so there's going to be beer, wine, great food, and great music. They're going to be playing the Brahms Horn Trio. Etsuko will be playing the G Major, the first Brahms Violin Piano Sonata, and Gabe will be playing the Saint-Saëns Romance, I believe it's called. We can check on that later. At any rate, it's going to be a wonderful concert the second Wednesday of November, which is November 13th at 7:30, Heliconian Hall. Also on the program, I will be discussing the Pastorale d'été, the piece that we are going to be playing on our upcoming G27 orchestral concert by the French-Swiss composer, Arthur Honegger. And we'll be discussing the music in depth and where it comes from and what it's all about. But before we get to any of that, and before we go to a commercial break, it's our episode trivia question, and where I'll present the trivia question now, and at the end of the episode, you'll get the answer. The trivia question tonight is, or I should say today, it might be tonight, it might be today, it actually is tonight, is which famous composer suffered from triskaidekaphobia? Triskaidekaphobia. That's the fear of the number 13th, and this composer even died on the 13th of the month. Anyway, ponder that, and we'll be right back. Hello everyone, and welcome to G27 TV interview with Etsuko Komura. Hello, Etsuko.
Hello. Hi.
How are you doing?
I'm fine.
Good. Etsuko is the concertmaster of Group of 27. She's been our concertmaster for quite a while, and she's also the assistant concertmaster of the Toronto Symphony, and has played around town and everywhere for many, many years, and is well known in these parts and other parts as well. So, welcome. Well, you should be welcoming me, because I'm in her home right now.
Welcome. Welcome to my home.
Thank you. We're in the annex here in Toronto, and Etsuko, tell us a bit about yourself.
Okay, so I'm a violinist, you have just told, and I was born in Japan, raised in Japan, and I came here to study with Mr. Fainovich when I was 25, and then studied for 2 years, and then I met my husband, and I got married, and ended up living in Canada. we got married in Japan. So he came to Japan first. After I studied here, it's like I had to go back because I had a job. And so he came to Japan. We got married in Japan. And after that, we went to England and lived there for a year. And then we moved to Holland and then lived there for a year and a half.
Okay.
Then we came back to Canada.
And in all these places, did you continue to play violin?
Unfortunately, no.
No.
Because I had a child.
Uh-huh.
And to me, all my life, I was just practicing my violin. And when I had my son, it was so much more interesting.
Your son was more interesting
than the violin. Yes.
Right.
And every day is a challenge. Every day is something new. And I totally forgot about violin. So I didn't touch my violin for 3 years.
Wow. That's refreshing to hear.
Oh.
That's very refreshing to hear, especially for someone so accomplished as yourself. It's, that leads me into my next question. Why the violin? Why do you play the violin? This is a huge question, but I mean it in the sense that could it have been another instrument? Do you love it that much that you can't, after 3 years away, that you couldn't not play the violin, or why the violin?
Well, I think after 3 years, I started to miss music. And even though I wasn't playing, of course, music was always with me.
Sure.
And, to be very honest, my mother was a violin teacher.
Okay.
And my father was a conductor. So I grew up in a musical family. So I almost had no choice, than to play the violin, and so I started when I was 4, and by the time I noticed, I always had a violin, and I know I think young people would love to hear this, but I hated it when I was young.
Really?
Because it was the idea that was forced on me.
Right, because your mom played it. Did
Yes.
Did you study with your mom?
No, but
Good.
of course, every day was a fight,
Right.
and yelling and crying, and I hated it. But
So when did you start to love it?
when I was 15,
Okay.
so I met this teacher, and she just came back from Europe studying the violin, and she was somewhat close to my age. She was, we were like 10 years apart.
Okay.
And she was such a fun teacher to study with. She would
Okay.
always talk about Europe, and then she was like the one who actually told me to be like more expressive.
Okay.
And she knew I was that kind of personality, but I was very shy. And then so she was like, do it more. So she encouraged me. And then since I started to be able to express a little bit more, I started to like it. And then since then, I couldn't put it down.
Wow. Nice. Do you think muffins are better than donuts, or are they simply too different to compare?
What?
Do you think muffins
Yeah.
are better than donuts, or are they simply too different to compare?
I think it's different to compare.
Really? They're
Yeah.
both kind of sweet.
Yeah.
Which one do you like better?
That's a difficult question.
It is. They're both so
My
good.
goodness. Okay. I don't know. I like them both. And here it's surrounded by cookies and donuts and muffins.
Exactly.
And then once you put it in your mouth,
You can't stop.
yes.
Yeah, totally. Okay, describe one or two of your most memorable musical moments. And I mean these moments, we all have them where it's almost, you're so in the zone, and of course you probably do that as a professional musician a lot, but one or two that just are the real memories that you have.
Okay, so is that me playing or me listening?
It could be
doesn't
it
matter.
could be either.
Anything.
Yeah.
Okay. So one of the things was, even though I hated the violin when I was young, I still loved music.
Mm-hmm.
So I was always surrounded by music, right? It's just that I didn't like the idea of, the parents forcing me to play the violin.
Right.
But I was always trying to play other instruments, like, I wanted to play piano, I wanted to play flute, I wanted to play clarinet, but it was, and I remember when I was grade 4, I was 10 years old, and there was one of these education concerts in the school.
Okay.
So, they came to our school gym, and then it's of course says orchestra. When I of course think back, it was not really an orchestra, but still there are strings and there are woodwinds and brass and everything. And I still remember the first sound I heard from the live sort of orchestral sound.
Right.
And I went, wow, this is great. I like this.
Wow. Do you think airlines should turn all their seats around so that they face the back of the plane?
Why?
Do you think so?
You know what? Actually, not everything, but I used to think, okay, if we could turn the seat around so that, if you have a family sitting together and then we can, sort of face to face, that would be nice.
See, it wasn't even a silly question. See, there you go. But they do that in the trains.
Yeah.
But do you think it would work if they put all the people behind?
I don't know. It's kind of.
It'd be kind of a neat little marketing trick. But it'd be expensive to switch all the people. Okay. So in 3 weeks now, you'll be performing on the G2-7, Get to Know Your G27 Chim Music Series, recital series, excuse me. And you're going to be playing with Monique de Margerie.
Yes.
And the first piece on the program is Brahms' first violin piano sonata, the G major. Mm-hmm. Tell us a bit about that.
Okay. So Brahms was how do I say? He's a perfectionist, right? Like like how long it took for him to write symphony, number 1 symphony, and he was, always thinking about the Beethoven, and so this sonata was the same idea, and so he could not write the violin sonata because he was always looking up the Beethoven, and if he writes something like 10 of the great sort of sonatas, I am not going to be able to do that. So he waited until he was 45. And I personally have a very similar story about myself.
Oh, okay.
So when I was in school, and you know my personality.
Yes.
And my teacher was never allowing me to play Brahms because my personality is somewhat like that. And so he was always like, no Brahms for you.
Is this Mr. Penman?
No.
Oh,
when in Japan.
Okay.
And I loved Brahms since I was young, and then symphony was my favorite, and then all the quartet my favorite. I always wanted to play Brahms, but he was always no Brahms for you. And I was so disappointed during that time. And then so even when I got older and I said I want to play Brahms sonata for the for recital, and he said, well, if you really want to do, you can do it, sort of thing. And so he really was somehow against me playing the Brahms because so he had some reasons.
Sure,
right? Of course, it's not like it wasn't like you can't study Brahms, but somehow that idea got into me.
Okay.
And anyway, so I was like, okay, no Brahms for me. I guess I'm not good at playing the Brahms. And then so I put it off for too long. And then when I played, actually, several years ago, that idea was haunting on me. It's no Brahms for me, no Brahms for me. And it was maybe Brahms is too great. It's just the same idea of Brahms saying. And so when I read at this time, I was like, okay, revenge. I'm going to do Brahms. Anyway, so when I started to read all these stories about when he put it until 45, and I'm like, same age as me. And I was like, wow, it's kind of, very coincident, sort of.
You're paralleling.
Yeah. And then so I feel like, I feel a little bit closer to the piece now.
Right.
You know, and it's like, he's finally decided I can do it.
Okay.
It's not that I decided I couldn't do it before, but it's like those like unhealthy ideas was, idea was always in my head.
Right.
And it was very, very unhealthy. But now, like, since I read this and I'm like, it's good. Like, he did it when he was 45. I'll do it when I'm 45.
Wonderful. Like we said, Etsuko and Monique will be playing that November 13th, Wednesday evening, 7:30, at Heliconian Hall. All the details are on our website, and I'm going to put them right here as well. But there's also going to be Gabe Radford on the program, the horn player from the Toronto Symphony, and also our principal G27 hornist. And he'll be playing a Saint-Saëns piece. And you guys, all three of you, will be playing the Brahms Horn Trio. So even more Brahms. It's going to be a wonderful evening of great music making.
Oh, yes.
And I thank you for doing this.
Thank you very much for giving us opportunities to play.
Yeah, you're welcome.
It's always fun to play jazz music.
Nice. Good. Well, we'll talk to you next time.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Have you ever had the feeling of despair, of wondering how you can get the beautiful voice writing of the past on the same CD as some beautiful voice writing of today? Well, you're not alone, but don't despair. Your friends at Group of 27 have finally come up with a solution, and it's called their latest CD. Yes, you heard correctly. G27 has released a CD with stunning writing of the past, Berlioz's Les Nuits d'été, with a nuanced and gorgeous writing of today, Nora Pellé's haunting, the poet, and the war song cycle. Hear Canadian soprano Shannon Mercer's expressive voice soar as she and Group of 27 explore these important works. As Toronto critic John Giroux says, Mercer shapes long, arching melodies with the unforced ease of someone sipping their second Long Island iced tea. This is a pool of song one wants to swim around in for hours. Well, John, I'll certainly drink to that. So you can finally stop worrying of where to find the old and new together and purchase what the same critic says is a fantastic debut album by one of Toronto's classical treasures, soprano Shannon Mercer, teaming up with one of the city's greatest secrets, Group of 27 Chamber Orchestra. Get your copy today at groupof27.com/CD.
Warning. May cause some people to finally fall in love with modern music. May cause some people to explore other Berlioz works other than his Symphonie Fantastique.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the interview with Gabe Radford. Hello, Gabe.
Hi there.
How are you
Hi,
doing?
everyone. Great. Thank you.
Gabe is the our principal horn for G27. He's also the third horn for the Toronto Symphony Orchestra, and he plays a lot of other places. Just this past Sunday, he played a solo with his wife, Sarah Jeffrey, with the Scarborough Philharmonic.
That's right, yeah.
And composer was?
Ronald Royer.
Right, Ronald Royer, and it was a new commission that it was a world premiere, and it went very well, I hear.
Yeah, Ron Royer wrote a beautiful piece for Sarah and I, and I also played some Newfoundland folk songs transcribed by Jim McGraw. It was really great.
Okay. Yeah. Nice. Well, we're already getting into it, but tell us a bit about yourself.
Well, I'm Toronto born and raised. I've pretty much done everything here, including schooling, except for a year away in Boston with you at the New England Conservatory. Other than that, I'm a Toronto guy. I live in the Annex and grew up at Yonge and Eglinton. And my dream job was to play in the Toronto Symphony.
And here you are.
And I've been doing it. This is my 12th season. After 4 years in the Winnipeg Symphony, I joined the TSO.
Okay.
And it's a great life. I've got 2 little kids. And so life is full.
Nice. And you said you spent 4 years with Winnipeg.
Yeah.
Winnipeg Symphony. And so you went directly from New England Conservatory to Winnipeg, correct?
Yeah, that's right. In fact, I didn't I didn't finish my master's.
That's right.
The job took me away, but in the music world, that's what you do, and when the work calls, you go. And Winnipeg was a wonderful place to work and live, and I have many great friends there still.
Nice. Your brother-in-law is
In
there.
fact, my brother-in-law, of course.
That's right. He plays trumpet in the Winnipeg Symphony Orchestra. I remember the lunch in the cafeteria at New England Conservatory when you sat down and said, "Eric, I got a job." It was so exciting because that's what we all aspired to do.
I had flown from Boston to take the audition. Yeah. It went well.
Wonderful. Can you clear up the confusion about the name of your instrument? It's
Not
go ahead.
Yes. So most people ask me, what instrument do you play? And the answer is I play the horn. And so sometimes I get the answer, what kind of horn? Well, it's been known as the French horn for some period of time. I'm not really sure. The truth be told, the origins of the instrument, it depends on which line you follow.
Okay.
You could follow it all the way back to a ram's horn,
Right.
way back when,
Right.
caveman times. But the real origins of the modern horn are more German than they are French.
Right.
And so horn players tend to like to use the word just horn because it kind of clears up kind of misconceptions about it. Many instruments have these kind of strange problems, but it's not really the French horn. It's just the horn.
I read somewhere that in 1971 the World Horn Society, or at least the
International Horn Society,
declared that from 1971 on it's known as the horn and not the French horn.
Yeah.
But I mean, we still all say French.
It clears it up because those jazz guys they stole the term horn to mean anything from a clarinet to a tuba.
Exactly. Good. Would you exchange eggs for cauliflower if you had the chance?
Exchange eggs for cauliflower? By no means.
No,
cauliflower and bacon doesn't sound very good to me.
No.
It's eggs are the way to go.
Yeah.
I eat a lot of eggs.
Protein,
yeah.
They're
really
good.
Yeah.
They're tasty. You can mix them up in different ways.
So versatile.
Salsa. Yeah.
Breakfast, lunch, dinner, dessert,
True.
appetizer.
Now, if you steamed a few cauliflower bits in there and then put them in the stir fry with the eggs, that would be pretty.
I'm not against cauliflower, but there's no contest between the two.
No, you can't really exchange them. Describe your orchestral horn experience. I don't mean we've discussed already that you've been with Winnipeg Symphony and the TS, but the horn is such a huge part of the orchestra from, I mean, the first symphonies. Bach and Haydn, the horns right at the beginning. Describe your experience with all of your orchestral experience, how that is within.
It's funny. I think that one of the strange things about an orchestra is that even within this very small family, I feel like very often we don't understand each other's roles.
Right.
I'm not really aware of the challenges of being a violist in a symphony orchestra, and of course there are many. But I'll tell you the thing about the horn, and I'm going to use the words of the principal horn of the TSO, Neil Deland, and he says we're like the catcher on a baseball team. We're in on every play. We are playing with the woodwinds as woodwind kind of function, and then we're playing with the brass in the brass function, and we are very rarely are we texture. Usually we are character. We are the solo instruments.
Right.
So like a flute would be, or an oboe would be as well. So the thing about the horn is it's wonderfully rewarding because you get an opportunity to impact every moment of a piece almost.
Yeah.
And that brings its stresses.
Yeah.
Because if I make a mistake, everybody, including somebody sleeping in the balcony, is going to know that I've made the mistake. On the other hand, it gives a great kind of emotional palette that's possible in a given concert, even as a third horn player in the TSO.
Right.
Far fewer solos than the first horn, but still an important role. And of course, when I play first horn at G27, it feels like an important. It feels like my contribution every time I go out there is important.
Right. And like you said, it's very exposed. At times, but then it's in.
Of course, like every instrument, there are many moments where we're a part of the texture. But I was thinking about Brahms, that I'm playing on the show, and thinking about how he viewed the horn, and it's almost never background texture. It's almost always either character or color. And Brahms was obsessed, I think, with the horn color and had many opinions on it. And in the Brahms trio, you hear this fascination with the expressive possibilities on the horn, but also the I'm on the back of the horse, I'm hunting kind of version of the instrument. And and he was the master of it.
Right.
Him and Mahler, they understood the character of the instrument.
Right. Well, you bring up the Brahms, and this is the Brahms trio is part of your upcoming G2-7. Get to know your G27 players. November 13th, Heliconian Hall. And Gabe will be playing with Itsuko Kimura and Monique de Margerie. And one of the pieces is the Brahms horn trio.
Yeah.
Talk about that work. It's an extraordinary work.
And it's an extraordinary work of art.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of the great achievements of one of the greatest composers ever. I mean, you can't overstate how incredible this work is. How incredibly important it was to Brahms.
Mm-hmm.
How important it is to horn players.
Right.
I mean, it's one of the cornerstones of our repertoire, and it's well deserved. It is a immensely entertaining piece. I mean, that again is the thing about Brahms. It's like it is great art, and yet you don't have to suffer for it. I mean, you're not sitting in your chair saying, "When is this going to be over?" It's engaging and alive and passionate, and yet great art.
Yeah.
And it's the third movement that Brahms wrote after his mother passed away, and you hear sadness, and you hear anger, and you hear anguish,
right?
And then the fourth movement just unleashes in this incredible joy.
Right.
You know, it's really a great work of art. I'm so glad to be able to play it again.
Yeah, and aside from that, Itsuko is going to be playing a Brahms sonata, the first, the G major. But you're also going to be playing a piece by Saint-Saëns.
Mm-hmm.
On the brochure, it says that he'll be playing the Strauss sonata, but actually it's going to be the Saint-Saëns. So tell us about that piece.
Can I tell you why that happened? First of all, I'm afraid I have some history with this.
Okay.
I was a young pro, and I was asked to play on a recital series, and I was a little maybe disorganized, and I was like, oh yeah, I'll play the Strauss Andante, which is exactly what I told you I would play.
Yeah.
And Strauss, being Richard Strauss, did actually write a piece called Andante for horn and piano. But I guess in the mail I sent the accompanist the Franz Strauss Nocturno, which is a completely different piece written by his father.
Okay.
And I showed up on the day. We were gonna rehearse it on one day and then play on the same day. And she had the music to the Franz Strauss, which she had rehearsed, and I had the music to the Richard Strauss. Thankfully, in her part was the horn part as well. And so basically on that day in front of a paying audience, I kind of nigh on sight read a piece.
Oh my God.
It went so well. Anyway, I mean, improbably. And this time, I'm afraid I did the same thing. I said, Eric, I'd like to play the Richard Strauss Andante with this beautiful Saint-Saëns melody going on in my head. I'm thinking, da 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 dee dee da 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 da. Oh, such a great piece. I want to play the Richard Strauss Andante.
Right.
It's not the piece at all.
That's great.
So I'm sorry. First of all, that's the story. And what I really want to play is the Nocturnal.
Okay.
Yeah. Romance. See, I still don't know.
I think
It's the Romance.
Romance
By Camille Saint-Saëns, and I want to play it because it is quite simply just a beautiful melody.
Nice.
It's simple, it's easy, beautiful music to listen to.
Right.
And I feel like it's such a great way to begin a concert because it's almost like it's a warm welcome.
Yeah.
It's a hug, you know. And I just wanted a way to begin a concert in a way that put the audience in the kind of frame of mind we were in for this Brahms, you know, passion and beauty and simplicity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like you said, a nice warm welcome.
A warm welcome, yeah.
Very nice, very nice. Have you ever been blinded by the shininess of new pavement?
I don't think so.
You know sometimes where the sun is on and you're like,
you know,
or is it too dark?
I don't think that's ever happened to me. I mean, certainly living in Winnipeg,
Yeah.
there are those times when it snowed and it's sunny because it's always sunny.
Yeah.
That comes to mind when I'm driving my car
Yeah.
and like it's just completely overwhelming. But new pavement? No, I don't think I have. Thanks for asking.
Yeah, no, it's It's
It's a thing, maybe.
It's a thing.
Maybe it's a bike thing.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. That's true. Well, Gabe, I think that's it. I think we've gone over all the pieces in the recital. Once again, November 13th, Wednesday. This is 2 weeks. Well, I might be airing this at some point. So, at any rate, November 13th, 7:30, Halconian Hall, Etsuko Kamera, Monique de Margerie on piano, and our principal horn player, Gabe Radford. Thank you so much, Gabe.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Don't you want me, baby?
Welcome back to G27TV, and now I want to dive into the music of Arthur Honegger, and particularly the work Pastorale d'été, which we'll be performing on our upcoming November 15th G27 orchestral concert. Honegger was a Swiss composer. Well, we say Swiss, but he was actually born in France and lived in France for most of his life, but his parents were Swiss, so he considered himself Swiss. He lived from 1892 to 1955, and he was part of a group of composers called Les Six, the Six, and which also included Miot and Poulenc, probably the two other most famous members of the group. And they're kind of a mixture of composers. They weren't all on the same temperament and all in the same idealistic wavelength of making music. Poulenc was, well, if you know any of his music, is very romantic and very accessible in certain ways, whereas Miot might have been slightly different. And of course, Honegger, well, not of course, you might not even know, but Honegger was folded in the German romanticist language, coming out of Germany, or late 1900s at the time. This was around the 1920s that Les Six existed. At any rate, 6 different composers brought together to make music together, and Honegger was a big part of this group. He was also a widely known train enthusiast. He loved trains, and once he said, I have always loved locomotives passionately. For me, they are living creatures, and I love them as others love women or horses. One of his most famous works is called Pacific 231, and is an actual depiction of a steam locomotive. He wrote this in about 1923. But the piece that we're going to be performing is called Pastorale d'été, like I said before, and it was written in 1920, and it's a piece of programmatic music, meaning it depicts a program or a scene or something that's happening. There's actually an inscription right under the title of the score by the French poet Rimbaud that says, "J'ai embrassé l'aube d'été." I have embraced the summer dawn. So with this line plus the title of the piece, Pastorale d'été, Pastoral of Summer, we've already got a hint of what's coming up, and we kind of have already in mind what's going to happen. And sure enough, what does happen is Honegger's depiction of the dawn in the Alps, and more specifically the Swiss Alps, where he was staying when he wrote this piece. So as you can hear, the dawn is waking up the mountain, as it were. You can hear the slow movement, the ba, ya, da, 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 with the horn solo as well, and that, I mean, he doesn't exactly say what instrument depicts certain things on the mountain, but you can imagine the sun coming up and the whole mountain coming to life. Parts of the mountain waking up, such as certain birds that come to life, as you just heard in the flutes and the clarinets. And this is very apt for our program, for the whole program, I mean, of the concert, because our theme is the odd but lovely bird. And there's a bird theme that goes throughout the whole program. And of course, in Europe, in the European Alps, and especially in the Swiss Alps, there's a strong folk tradition, folk culture in the mountains, and he being Onager, depicts this in the middle section of the work. And then we return once again to the dawn-like opening, where things are a little more settled and things are still just waking up. So the whole piece is basically an A, B, A form. A, we've got the opening with the big horn solo, which the violins take over, etc. Then we have the middle section where it gets faster. It's actually in double time, where we hear, where we hear the folk melodies in different instruments, and how it comes to life a bit more. And then we return to the opening music at the beginning, but you hear some of the folk melodies still being interspersed within this music. So we've got the A section, a little bit of B stuck in right at the end. And as I've said many times already in this episode, this piece will be performed on our November 15th orchestral concert at Trinity St. Paul's. Check out g27 or group27.com for tickets and information. And there's a bird theme throughout the whole thing, the odd but lovely bird, which actually is a reference to our soloist of the evening, Nadina Mackey-Jackson, who is the bassoon superstar who will be premiering the world premiere of French-Canadian composer Mathieu Lucier's The Odd Bird, named for Nadina and written for Nadina. We've recorded this work with Nadina on our latest CD, and it's wonderful to be bringing it into the concert. It's interesting to be to record it first and then bring it out. Usually it's the other way around, but this is going to be a great way to share it live with the world, or at least with the audience that comes to our concert. We're also going to be having the wonderful dancer William Young dancing between each of the pieces, and he'll be depicting a bird that represents each of the pieces. It's going to be really a wonderful tie from piece to piece, how William will be dancing across the stage, maybe through the audience, little surprises here and there. And this is all going to be accompanied by poems and texts, which will be read by the well-known TV personality of Cash Cab fame, Adam Grove. So it's going to be a mix of wonderful music, Beethoven's Second Symphony, Onager's Pastorale d'été, Mathieu Lucier's The Odd Bird, Bassoon Concerto, and Finzi's Love's Labour's Lost. I get a bit mixed over that one because there's so many S's. Love's Labour's Lost, which we discussed in the first episode of G27TV. So it's going to be a wonderful mixture of art, music, dance, poems, texts, all sorts of things. So please come out. November 15th, 8 o'clock, Trinity St. Paul's. And we'll see you next time on G27TV. Thanks. Oh, I just about forgot the answer to the trivia question. Yes, indeed. So, who was the composer that suffered from the malady or the disease? It's not really a disease, but who suffered from triskaidekaphobia? Triskaidekaphobia, which is the fear of the number 13th, and even died on the 13th of a certain month. Well, that composer was Arnold Schoenberg. Arnold Schoenberg, the famous composer of the Second Viennese School from the early 1900s, he actually died on July 13th, 1951, and he had a great fear of the number 13. So I'll leave you with that. I hope you don't have any fear of number 13th, because our G2-7 concert with Atsuko and Gabe is on that date, Wednesday, and then the orchestral concert November 15th. So I hope to see everyone there, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.